Prologue. Isla Sorna, Site B, 207 miles southwest of Costa Rica, October 5th, 2002, night. In the southwestern side of Isla Sorna was a site used by the Engine Corporation called the Burrows, which was accommodate the Site B workers during the 1980s for the island's dinosaur research and breeding facility in order for the animals to grow a bit for their eventual recapture for Jurassic Park on Isla Nublar, 80 miles from Sorna for their damn it. However, all plans were halted after the June 11th, 1993 Isla Nublar incident and Hurricane Clarissa in May of 1995. The boroughs had a general store, a bar, a small hotel, a saloon, a medium-sized inn, a water tower alongside a gas station, car garage, and car wash, a generator tower, a basketball court, and a series of bungalows for lower-ranked workers as well as a cafe, basketball court, a plaza, a local church, a town hall, the main creation lab, the operations center, the kiln house, the barracks, a geothermal power plant, and the boarding house, as well as the luxurious two-gated Georgian Victorian style mansion, which was the residence of John Hammond, with Mayan style decorations. There was also the residence of Dr. Henry Wu, which had the state of the art entertainment system, laundry room and garage, bedroom, kitchen, and living room, and even a backyard pool, all enclosed in a piece of gated land. It was raining late into the night, with storm clouds swollen and heavy as they dragged themselves across the sky. The moon and stars were smothered across a thick quilt of gray, and the heavens opened with unrelenting force. Rain cascaded against the shattered roofs and the warped beams of the burrows. Ingen's once proud worker settlement, now left in partial or total ruin. The air was raw and bitterly cold. Every so often, a sharp gust of winds knifed through the abandoned streets, driving the rain sideways and making the chill burrow deeper into the skin. From the mountains into the distance, lightning split the night in jagged white arcs, each strike briefly illuminating the fractured buildings and the drowned forest beyond before facing into rolling thunder. The southwestern side of Isla Sorna always carried a strange duality. Despite being in Central America, it resembled the temperate forests of Northern California, with towering redwoods rising like sentinels into the fog. But here and there, flourishes of subtropical and even tropical vegetation crept into the landscape, claiming whatever space the cooler flora allowed. Looming above it all were jagged mountains, ranges, and natural walls that divided north from south. Through the storm, a gray, militaristic Augusta A109 helicopter cut across the sky, its rotor blades slicing the air in rhythmic, thunderous pulses. The craft was modified, its frame hardened for resilience, and painted in the somber tones of corporate secrecy. Along its fuselage were stampled two proud names: the Engine Corporation, and just beneath it, United Genesis Enterprises. Inside the cabin sat two figures. One was Dr. Richard Rivera, I mean, Richard Morales, an engine scientist in his late 30s, clinging nervously to his briefcase and casting uneasy glances out the rain streaked windows. Across from him sat Zora Greenwood, an engine mercenary hardened by years of military service. Her posture steady, her gaze sharp, and her demeanor unshaken by either the storm or the mission ahead. As the helicopter dipped lower across the dark forest canopy and approached the ruined worker village, Morales leaned forward, his voice uncertain. "Miss Greenwood," he began, his tone wavering. "Are you sure this is a good idea? I know why we're here, to boot up the geothermal power plant and secure classified information from the operations center, but..." He trailed off, his eyes narrowing at the distant lightning flashes. "You see, please remember that Isla Sorna had been a restricted area for years now, deemed an unofficial wildlife preserve for the last dinosaurs on planet Earth. That order came from the United Nations, and it was reinforced by both the, the United States and the Costa Rican governments after the 1997 San Diego incident. If the U.S. Embassy in San Jose or Costa Rican authorities, or even worse, UN DOC officials, discovered this operation, Greenwood interrupted him with calm certainty. She had been watching the forest blur by through streaks of water on the window, the dense redwood trunks, the creeping vines, and the flashes of exotic subtropical foliage nested against them. Her voice was steady, even with the hum of the engines and the roar of the storm. "We're with Injun," she said firmly. "That alone gives us authority. And besides, this is bigger than politics. We're here to reclaim Jurassic Park secrets. We cannot let the failures of the 1997 San Diego incident or 2001 incident with the rescue of Eric Kirby dictate what comes next. Those mistakes can't keep us from finishing what Hammond began. Her eyes swept the landscape below as she continued. "You and I were handpicked to secure valuable information for United Genesis Enterprises, and that's exactly what we're going to do." Morales swallowed, uneasy. Greenwood glanced back at him, softening, her tone softened, but still edged with conviction. "There's nothing to worry about, Doctor. You'll be fine. You have me." A faint smirk crossed her lips as she added, "And remember, while the worker village sits near the island center, where larger theropods are known to prowl, the truth is that Injun's velociraptors and even their tyrannosaurs almost never venture this far north, if ever." As if mocking her certainty, the helicopter began to circle the ruins of the burrows, its searchlight briefly sweeping across the skeletal frames of buildings, the skeletal based basketball court now overrun by weeds. The pilot eased the craft down, its skids touching mud with a muted thud. The rotor slowed, spraying rainwater outward before gradually ticking into silence. One of the pilots turned from the cockpit. Voice firm. "All right, you have at most 50 minutes on the ground, no more. When that time is up, you must be back on this chopper. Understood?" Greenwood answered for both of them, confidence unwavering. "Don't worry, we'll be back. Please remember to also keep the engines turned on in case we need to leave in a hurry." The two unbuckled their harnesses. Morales searched for his equipment. A scoped M4 assault rifle slung over his shoulders, a Mark Suger IV pistol strapped to his side as backup, and the polished metallic briefcase boldly inscribed with "InGen, Site B, Isla Sorna." Greenwood armed herself as well, lifting an AK-74 with casual familiarity, Siege MCX strapped across her back, and a crackling cattle prod in her other hand. The rain hit them immediately as Greenwood slid open the helicopter door, and the storm's roar flooded in. They descended into the mud-slicked grounds of the abandoned worker village. Greenwood spoke over the patter of rainfall. "All right, I'll take the operations center. I'll reboot the generator systems and restore the local power grid. You, Dr. Morales, head to the creation lab and retrieve the top classified files. Then we regroup here and leave." Morales gave a reluctant nod, then hesitated. "Do you think we'll encounter poachers or smugglers? I've read reports ever since the San Diego incident. Although Isla Sorna is an unofficial ecological reserve for Injun's dinosaurs, dinosaur poachers and dinosaur smugglers or traffickers have been capturing juveniles, stealing eggs. They smuggle them out to private collectors or keep them as exotic pets. Some sell them on the black market for a fortune. We could be walking right into them." Greenwood gave a dry laugh, shaking her head. "For goodness sake, Richard, poachers don't operate in the middle of a thunderstorm in the dead of night on this forsaken island. Trust me, if anyone's out here, it's us." Her gaze hardened, her voice carrying the weight of her past. "Besides, I was in the U.S. Marine Corps. Years in Haiti, Somalia, Rwanda, Bosnia, Yemen, Libya. I've survived war zones worse than this. If anything comes our way, it'll regret it." Two split off into the rain, shadows swallowed by the ruined village. Zora Greenwood soon located the operations center, its faded lettering barely visible through sheets of water. Inside, the building smelled of mildew and dust, abandoned technology from the late 80s and early 90s, lying in fragments. Her flashlight swept across sagging desks, rusted terminals, and peeling posters until at last she discovered the heavy hatch tucked behind the old circuit breaker. Straining against the corroded mechanism, she wrenched it open and forced down the lever. Sparks crackled as power surged back through the compound. Ancient lights flickered into life one by one. A grin spread across her face. "Well done, Zora," she muttered to herself. "You've actually done it, in this godforsaken Costa Rican hellhole." Her chuckle died when she turned and found herself face to face with a mural. Its colors faded, but still recognizable. It depicted Isla Nublar's dream. The great stone arch with Jurassic Park carved proudly at its crown. Beneath, Pteranodon's sword, the Dilophosaur stalked, and Roberta, the park's Tyrannosaurus, roared against the sky. The visitor center stood proudly in the background. The park's self-driving, electrified safari Ford Explorers winding along the tour road with smiling families inside. Zora lingered, her voice dropping to a rare whisper. It really could have been something, if not for arrogance and hubris. That's just sad. Meanwhile, Dr. Morales moved through the flooded streets, clutching his briefcase in one hand, his flashlight in the other. The reactivated perimeter fences buzzed faintly with abandoned cars. My God, Morales murmured. This place is a graveyard. At least he stood before the creation lab, a large rectangular structure, its steel facade weathered, but still imposing. Inside, the beam of his flashlight revealed cracked incubators and abandoned nurseries once used to nurture eggs. Small enclosures stretched across the floor, cages built for juveniles. Triceratops, Stegosaurus, Gallimimus, Parasaurolophus, raptors, even Tyrannosaurus. Morales paused, a revelation striking him. "So that's it," he whispered. "The raptors don't avoid this place because it's too far north. They avoid it because of trauma. They remember these cages. They remember what was done here." Deeper inside, he rifled through scattered files and battered drawers, securing what documents remained from the final evacuation of 1995. In the papers, one item caught his eye: a small black notebook. He flipped it open, his voice low. "Is this the property of Charlotte Lockwood?" His radio crackled. Greenwood's voice came through. "Dr. Morales, status. Have you secured the documents?" He tightened his grip on the briefcase. "Yes, Miss Greenwood. I'm on my way back to the chopper." Minutes later, the storm-shaken helicopter loomed ahead, its doors sliding open as the pilots waved him in. Greenwood and Morales clambered aboard, dripping and heavy with the weight of their hull. The door slammed shut, sealing them away from the cold, rainy night. Morales clutched the case tightly. "What's going to happen to the documents?" Greenwood's eyes remained forward, her tone measured. "Don't worry. They'll be taken to a secure, undisclosed location. That's all you need to know." Then to the pilots. "Gentlemen, let's get off this island before one of these beasts decides we're its midnight snack." "Roger that, ma'am," one replied. The rotors screamed to life, faster and faster. The storm buffeted the aircraft as it lifted from the mud, rising higher. The worker village shrank beneath them as its lights flickered in the sheets of rain. For a moment, the helicopter ascended to the storm clouds and vanished into the night sky. Chapter 1. 2 years after Isla Sorna, Holy Land Amber Mines, Angola, January 14th, 2004, late morning. The sky was mostly sunny, and the thick sub-equatorial and golden heat could be felt. The scenery was lush and green, with large tropical trees, large fields of tall grass, ferns, and overgrown bushes, and the occasional bamboo tree. The Holy Land Amber Mines were in the Angolan countryside, just outside the capital city of Luanda, and present on site was a law firm representative, and that man was the handsome, middle-aged Martin Jackson, who worked for the Seattle law offices of Cohen, Swain, and Ross. Jackson was sent to Angola to meet Proprietor Xavier Martinez. Martinez was a slightly overweight man in his mid 50s with a natural hairstyle, with a mustache, and working clothes. He greeted, "Hello, Mr. Jackson. Welcome to the Holy Land Amber Mines." "You must be Martin Jackson." Jackson replied, "Well then, hello, Mr. Martinez. I'm a law firm agent working for the law offices of Cohen, Swain, and Ross. That's in Seattle of Washington State." Martinez then told Jackson, "All right then, Mr. Jackson. I'll show you around the mines." Jackson explained, "You see, I've been hired by a Japanese multinational company called United Genesis Enterprises, or UGE for short. They are a multi-billion-dollar worth company experienced in countless fields like solar energy, telecommunication, oil and petroleum in general, agricultural production and growth, as well as fields in bioengineering and many, many other growth programs, most of which are related to ecological conservation and renewable resources." Martinez replied, "Wow, I'm rather impressed by their efforts." Martinez then guided Mr. Jackson over to the actual mining site, which had several mine shaft systems, which were actually stable and safe, as well as excavation vehicles and storage vehicles, as well as several research and administrative buildings nearby. There were also many mine workers alongside several pit ponies, and parked were several cargo trucks and various work and off-road vehicles. Nearby was the mining camp's storage facilities and warehouses, a few workshops and maintenance areas, safety and emergency services, as well as dormitories and even lodging facilities and communal areas, as well as floodlight towers. Sorry about that, guys. Radio signals and a couple of water towers. The mining camp almost resembling a small town. Martinez questioned, "So tell me, Jackson, what brings you here to the amber mines?" Jackson hesitated for a few seconds before responding. "Well, UGE sent me here as they're collecting tons of amber specimens, like from the Dominican Republic, Tanzania, Ethiopia, the Baltic nations like Lithuania, Wyoming, and in this case, here in Angola." Martinez responded, "Did the people at UGE ever tell you why they were planning to get so much amber?" Jackson responded, "Well, the higher ranked representatives at the company's headquarters in Kyoto, they stated that they were most interested in amber with mosquitoes, not amber with other arthropods like ants, beetles, spiders, and scorpions, or plant life like leaves, seeds, carnivorous plants, and flowers, or small vertebrates like baby birds, lizards, frogs, and salamanders." Jackson continued, "These UGE officials also stated that these amber specimens would play a part in a resort they were constructing in San Diego, California." Jackson commented in a slightly hesitant tone, "Their headquarters in Kyoto also stated this resort was going to be a zoological park." Martinez paused and asked, "What kind of zoo was United Genesis planning?" Jackson's voice became almost scared and concerned, almost in a guilty conscious way. Jackson's voice then turned into a formal, insistent manner. "Well, they claim this zoological resort will be the most unique zoological theme park ever, but Mr. Martinez, I assure you, it's nothing dangerous. I promise." Jackson explained, "It also seems that UGE are also willing to pay me to view this resort also later next month. You see, they plan to open the resort in late September of next year." Martinez then told Jackson, "Well then, Master Jackson, let me know what you think of the company's San Diego resort." Chapter 2. United Nations Office at Vienna, Vienna, Austria, January 19th, 2004, late morning. Ever since the San Diego incident in May of 1997, the United Nations, as well as the American and the Costa Rican government, made Isla Sorna an unofficial ecological reserve, and a real-life, modern-day lost world. However, this wouldn't stop local Central American ships and airplanes from venturing to the island for illegal ecotourism trips. However, some people would come with far more malicious intent. Dinosaur poachers and dinosaur smugglers had made their way to the island to illegally hunt dinosaurs as personal trophies or to sell organic materials like ceratopsian horns, stegosauridae plates, or the hides or teeth or even claws of theropod dinosaurs on black markets. Some of these dinosaur poachers or smugglers would even try to round up juvenile dinosaurs or dinosaur eggs to be sold to private collectors on the black market or even as personal assets in these poachers/smugglers private zoos. This led to the founding of the United Nations Dinosaur Oversea Committee, or UNDOC, in 1998, which was an international organization tasked with handling dinosaur activity. In the wake of its oh shit. Oh, sorry about that, guys. Sorry. Ignore that, please. At the conference room at the UN office in Vienna, Austria, present was Caroline Rivera, the Assistant Secretary General of the United Nations, as well as Vice Chairman of the UNDOC itself and the Field Office Manager at the U.S. Department of Fish and Wildlife, which was now responsible for dealing with dinosaur welfare. Now, the conference room was slightly small, but it was far from claustrophobic. The large conference table. Ah! No, sorry about that. Made with fine, dark Italian maple wood, and the chairs were also smoothly made. The room had a sleek look, with an office landline phone alongside a clean, unused mug with pens, highlighters, pencils, erasers, and white ink covering. And in the back of the room was a detailed world map. Hold on, give me a second, guys.